Welcome back to the HerbRally Podcast. Today I'm incredibly honored to have on Rebecca Beyer. Welcome to the show, Rebecca.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah. Smoking herbal blends. We need some mullein and some kush, my brethren. While listening to HerbRally Podcast again. Herbalism at its finest with Mason Hutchinson. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, just before the call here, I was telling you I was listening to you on the wonderful podcast, the Plant Cunning Podcast, and you just came from their, I want to say, second annual event, the Plant Cunning Conference. In fact, when we called yesterday, you were on your trip back, your long journey back home to North Carolina. The event was held in New York. I would just love to hear about your experience, hear a little bit about the event, maybe some highlights and so on and so forth.
Yeah, it was really great. You're totally right. It was their second event they've done. I didn't know about it last year. Otherwise, I would have totally gone. It was really small on their beautiful property in Edmiston, New York, in their gorgeous gardens. The weather was perfect. I really enjoyed working there and teaching my Lamas or Lunasa, which happy Lunasa today is Lunasa, August 1st.
Oh,
The ancient Irish holiday.
that's cool.
And I did an herb lore class around that time of the year and a herb walk. And I also got to go on Seven Song, who is a huge inspiration to me, onto his plant walk. Always learning something new with him. And beautiful live music from Isaac Hill.
Yeah.
He and his siblings are all in a band, and it was absolutely a treat to get the gorgeous barn they have filled with live music. So we had a blast. My partner, Daniel Gingras, and I were there, and he offered massage and worked the whole weekend. Everybody wanted to get massage, so we had a great time.
That's epic. Yeah, and you mentioned the size. Maybe it was on the smaller size compared to some other herb conferences. And I read this event book one time, and they say bigger does not mean better. So let's say there was 3,000 people at that event. It actually would have lost a lot of its magic if it was ginormous, because they're based on that beautiful farm. I haven't been there, but they painted the picture for me. And I want to say, I picture that the barn with the lovely reverberations inside with the music. I'm presuming the music was held inside the barn.
Exactly right. And the
Yeah.
acoustics, gorgeous.
That's awesome. That's what they were telling me. And I had no idea that his band was actually with his siblings either.
They're so sweet. He has siblings, and not to to out you, Isaac, but they're just so darling and they're amazingly talented.
The secret's already out. Everyone knows how darling Isaac is, at least. So yeah,
He's
that's
such
cool.
an angel. I'd never met them before in real life, and my partner and I just instantly were like, "Wow, we love AC and Isaac. They're so warm and kind and fun. They're just great people."
Amen. Yeah, and a couple months ago we did a little podcast swap. I was on their show, they were on my show, and it was super fun. 2 weeks in a row we got to hang out, actually, and then a third week after that, I did one of those what do you call it? An Ayurvedic astrology reading. I'm
Yeah,
getting this
Vedic
wrong. Yeah,
astrology.
Vedic astrology reading from Isaac, which maybe I could plug that in the podcast show notes. But he does a wonderful job.
He's the real
Um, yeah, have you had it done, Rebecca?
He looked at my partner's face and was like,
Oh.
"I bet you're Jupiter, blah, blah, blah," and looked it up. Right. He guessed it by looking at him. I was like, "What?"
That's legit.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put you on the spot here, and you said you went on a plant walk with Seven Song, and you always learn something new. Off the top of your head, does anything come to mind about learning something new on that Seven Song plant walk?
Yes. One of my autistic powers is I have a very good memory for plant facts, but nothing else. Like, I
Okay,
remember
that's a
literally,
superpower in your line of work.
it's great for that. It's just like I can't remember what today is or what I have to do or if my laundry needs to be changed. But I learned his combination for some of the respiratory stuff he treats. He was showing elecampane, and then right next to it was growing a pleurisy root, the Asclepias tuberosa. And he said he combined them often. And I was just like, that is a great idea for pleural cavity inflammation. And so I wrote that down. I was like, I'm going to do that plus Monarda in my own practice. And like
Mm,
those three, I would love to try next time I'm dealing with a productive wet cough, especially with
yeah.
the term one. So I'm curious to see how that works.
Absolutely. Well, maybe if you try it out in between our next interview, you could report back and let us know how it goes.
I love,
By
yeah.
the way, your finger's on the pulse because I do want to talk to you about Monarda a little later in the show. But we talked a lot about Isaac Hill and AC Stabile and the Plant Cunning crew thus far. But let's get to know Rebecca a little bit more. Of course, I've known about you and your work for many a year now. Our first time meeting actually was yesterday via phone. But I've always been curious where the name Blood and Spicebush comes from. I just really dig it. What does Blood and Spicebush mean?
A lot of people ask me that, and my answer has stayed the same over all these years. So I feel like it's probably true. My
Yeah.
first ever podcast was with New World Witchery in 2016 with one of my favorite scholars of folk magic, Corey Stevens.
Mm.
But he asked me that question, and Blood and Spicebush, I started the blog in 2014, and I started writing about traditional witchcraft and bioregional animism and folklore and herbalism. And spicebush is one of my favorite plants, and it is a blood tonic in Appalachian folk medicine. And so to me, it's like blood and spicebush. It's like saying bread and butter if you're talking about Appalachian folk medicine. It's two of the foundational body fluid, blood, and one of its foundational movers, alongside things like, golden seal and sassafras and ginseng and the other protected special Appalachian plants. So yeah, to me, blood and spicebush means like the bread and butter of this bioregional practice that I study.
Love it. I have zero experience with the plant spicebush. I was telling you also, I know, pre-call, I'm from Oregon. Any idea if it grows out there?
It doesn't, no,
Okay,
but
that would make sense.
Yeah.
Right, of course. Okay, yeah. I couldn't even tell you what it looks like. So I probably should have looked that up before our interview here, but
I'll mail you some. I should
yeah,
say
that'd be amazing.
It tastes amazing.
Is there some spiciness to it?
Yes, it's
Okay.
Lindera benzoin is what we're talking about. Laurelaceae, so the laurel family, a native to
Oh,
the coast. Yeah, it's
okay.
actually cousins with sassafras. They're both Laurelaceae family, spicy, warming, moving plants. Dry.
Yeah,
Um,
did not
well,
know that.
energetics are always up for debate, but I find spice to be drying and warming. And it is used as a twig tea. The boiled twigs were drank as a spring tonic in Appalachia. Started out of Cherokee, Yuchi, Catawba tradition, and then spread throughout everybody that lived in Appalachia.
Did you say the genus was Lindera?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Every time I see that word, I think of Jim McDonald's apprenticeship. He calls it Lindera. So now I know why.
I was just on the phone with Jim the other day,
Oh,
who we just met for the first time in real life. I've, of course, as a, elder millennial, read his like 18, but my land that I live on is named Lindera, and we didn't know that. And when we met, we were both like Lindera, and we felt
wow.
connected. We just got off the phone a while ago talking about maybe me going to the Great Lakes Herb Fair to attend or teach someday. And I've never been to y'all's middle part of the country, so I'm very excited to check it out.
That'd be amazing. So clearly that's not happening this September, but perhaps in 2025. Yeah. Actually, so since moving from Oregon out to Wisconsin, we do consider the Great Lakes Herb Fair now kind of our local conference. It's still like a 7.5 hour drive or so, but we went last year, we're going this year, we'll go 2025. So we'll get to hang out in person, Rebecca.
I would love to see y'all. Yeah, I should
Yeah.
just come and attend regardless of what happens. But yeah, this
Absolutely.
year I have one more big conference, I think, and then I'm finally done with my travel.
Very good. Well, we were talking about this pre-call as well. Is that going to be the Veritas Genii conference, perchance?
No, unfortunately, I couldn't go this year because
Oh,
the dates were moved forward slightly, and I had already booked teaching ahead of time. And so this year, Kat messaged me and said, 2025, mid-July, you're coming. I was like, girl, I'll be there. It's the 10th anniversary. I got to be there. So that is in July every year.
okay.
And I missed it because I was teaching another class, but I'm going to the Salem Witchcraft Summer Festival in
Oh,
Salem,
wow.
Massachusetts, which I've never been to also. So in August.
I hear that city's really cool, actually. My one of my best friends, Nick, his gal pal is from Salem, Massachusetts. He spent quite a bit of time there recently, and he says it's pretty righteous, so you'll probably have a great time.
I'll be
Yeah.
tattooing tattoo afterwards that goes to the Machine Tattoo in Brighton. So I'm excited to do my first tattoo guest spot. I've never done one before.
Wow. And you know what else? I've been thinking about this because my friend Elise just became a tattoo artist, and she's also an herbalist. And I was like, dang, y'all should come out to the Great Lakes Herb Fair and do some plant tattoos at the event. Is that a thing that people do at Herb Conference? Have you ever seen that? Tattoo artists there?
Not allegedly.
Okay.
Because you are supposed to tattoo out of a certified shop that will basically share their license with you if you're out of state.
Gotcha. Okay. So
I
there's
was
some
tattooed.
legalities involved here.
Yeah, I'm very interested in doing tattooing in a really sterile and safe way. So I'm boring and I stay by the books.
Hey, you're keeping us safe out here. We don't want to get any sort of infections,
I'm trying
so.
my best. Yeah.
Well, actually, this is a nice transition. I was going to talk to you about, and if you can remind me, if you remember, if you recall, I'm sure you do a lot of Instagram lives. I can't remember, and I tried doing research who you were going to Instagram live
Oh
with
yeah,
when
I
you were having
remember.
this conversation. So we could plug and promote that person. But I was tuning in, and I was just like really enjoying the conversation. And I want to say one of the themes that was coming up was talking about having essentially a side hustle to your side hustle.
Yeah.
The importance of having maybe another job or work to do while you're growing your herbal practice, just building your platform and so on. So I know you're a tattoo artist. You also make and sell jewelry. You're an author. You do have lots of these different gigs. And I was just kind of curious if you could kind of recall what you were talking to that
Yeah.
on that Instagram live and just kind of go into that a little bit.
That was my friend Emily Peniston, and she has a business coaching for women company or service that she provides, and she's a local friend of mine. When I taught full time plant stuff and taught at Appalachian State University and just full time lectured, gave plant walks, and worked for the company No Taste Like Home, which is a foraging company in Asheville for about 5 years. And I honestly could not break through making about $20,000 to $25,000 a year, and then was paying taxes on that. So like maybe
Yeah.
$15,000 a year. And I work traded for my rent, so I was really lucky. And I was like, I'm impoverished and I am working so much and I have no savings. I have no family support. Like this sucks.
Yeah.
So I loved what I was doing, but I was suffering financially. And I just decided, I was like, I'm going to try some different ways to make a living. And a friend of mine offered me an apprenticeship tattooing. And I was like, oh, it's really difficult to get a real apprenticeship. So I jumped right on it and just threw everything I had. Those years were really a lot. But at this point, I feel like my tattooing can support my herbalism hobby.
That's cool.
And I've been tattooing for 5 years. So I'm just now starting to get it, if that makes sense.
Totally.
It took about 5 years to not just do shit tattoos every time. And I still am always like, I'm never going to be good. But it's having 3 different sources of income: my school, teaching herbalism, my books, writing. Also, I write for different publications, and tattooing. It is necessary for me. And I still don't have savings, but one day I will. And I just tell all my friends, I watch so many people struggling to make an herbal business work. You have to work the plants. Like, I think it puts you in a position to make unethical choices when capitalism is breathing down your neck and you kind of don't have a choice.
Yeah.
And it gives me compassion, but I'm like, don't set yourself up for that. Give yourself spaciousness. Try different things. Learn to do lashes, do nails, like whatever you want to do. There's so many little industries right now that you have a ton of freedom in that you can make a lot of money doing and like be more comfortable. Like I have friends who are going into being estheticians that are herbalists, and they're so much more comfortable now financially, and they love their work.
Yeah.
And like there's just a lot of creativity there, you know?
Big time. Yeah. I could so relate to all of that. And it's
your
hard
hustle?
out.
What's your
that?
hustle? Well, I said, what's your hustle? How do you sell?
I've got a few.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I actually, Amanda and I, when we moved to Wisconsin, we got side gigs as pet sitters.
That's so smart. That's what I'm talking about.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And yeah, I mean, you said a figure earlier. I'll just throw this out there, be vulnerable a little bit. This is absurd, okay? I get paid to watch this lady's cat on a regular basis for $80 a night. You see what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
that is absolutely crazy to me that people would spend that kind of money, but people love their pets. And I'm just saying to you, dear listener, if you're looking for a side hustle, put yourself out there as a pet sitter. Like you could make some bank just hanging out with a dog or a cat, and that's what Amanda and I do on the side quite a bit. It's nice because we work remotely for HerbRally, so as long as they have a decent internet connection, pet sitting is a good one. And I actually just got a part-time job. I work 1 to 2 days a week at a cigar shop.
That's
Strangely
fun.
enough, super
Yeah.
fun. Yeah, it's super fun. I absolutely adore the culture and the people there, and it's fun. It's also a plant. Tobacco's a plant as well. So I get to hang out and smoke some cigars and hang out with some cool local people. And so yeah, I would say pet sitting and just whatever other kind of side work I could get, including pet sitting and the part-time job.
I think it's something people don't talk about, and there's a lot of shame around it. Like if you're not making a living teaching and writing or doing herb stuff, you're not a good herbalist. And many of us, we're not business people.
Yeah,
It's
right.
it's a big skill, and I've found that the more you can give yourself grace and realize that we have to be flexible living in this oppressive system we didn't sign up for.
Yeah.
Like don't judge yourself if you're not like being perfect at making your living in the cutest like Instagram worthy way,
I do know, and I've
That's
had that internal struggle. I'm like, I'm gonna just put it out there that I do this, and that I will say there might have been a little bit of embarrassment, like, oh, I quit my cush job at Mountain Rose Herbs, and I built this side business, and it's like it's necessary for us to make our ends meet by picking up these random side gigs and side hustles. And I'll just say it, like, I'm a proud pet sitting dude, and I'm really enjoying it. But it's bringing some extra cash for the household. So
I think the less we destigmatize, like the more we destigmatize, not looking a certain way to be an herbalist or to be whatever we are, the more it's going to be inviting to like other people and feel more accessible. So I think it's super important to like tell people how much money you make, tell people what you're doing to make your ends meet, like destigmatize that because you're going to help other people get their needs met by inspiring them.
Amen. I love all that. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for being open.
Thank you.
I know. Yeah, it is what it is. That's kind of the way I think about a lot of this stuff. Is I'm in the mission of destigmatizing a lot of this type of stuff. I talk about my struggles with depression on the show and that kind of thing. It's actually been quite freeing, because
totally.
prior, like one of the main things that got in my way was just being afraid of what people thought about me. And the show has been super helpful for that, because now I'm like, well, I don't give a fuck. I'll just say it. And here we are on the show, just saying it out loud. No big deal. And people aren't out here judging me, usually. At least they're not leaving super negative comments and that kind of thing. But that's besides the point.
No, I love hearing you say that. I found that a lot as having a large Instagram following. People send me unhinged messages sometimes, as I'm sure you know how it happens.
Yeah.
But rarely, when I'm sharing about my lived experience as a human, in real life, does someone come at me like, well, fuck you.
Yeah.
Super normal. It's
Right.
like, people find camaraderie and relation when you tell them, like, I have OCD. And when I tell people I got OCD, they're like, oh my God, me too. And I'm like, oh, you're my new friend.
Helps people relate.
Exactly.
Totally. Well, it's already been 23 minutes. I only scheduled this interview for 30 minutes. Do you want to keep going? You good to go? All right, cool. Because I got some other things I got to bring up. And you already mentioned, we were just talking about your Instagram. You do have quite the following. I want to say it's pushing 30K.
Just about,
something like that. And so just, dear listener, please pause the episode, go hit follow on Instagram. That's at Blood and Spicebush for Rebecca's Instagram account. Actually, I didn't tell you I was going to do this, but I'm going to do it anyways. On earlier episodes of the Herbalist Hour, which is one of our other shows, I used to do this thing called Explain That Gram, which I directly stole from a show called Hot Ones. And basically, I'm going to pull up a picture from your Instagram account, and you're just going to kind of tell us the larger story behind it.
Oh my God. I love that.
I kind of already know a little bit because I was reading some of the captions. I was like, oh, this sounds really interesting. So I just...
I'm nervous. Which one are you going to pick?
I know, right? So I'm just gonna do a screen share. I'll edit this out to make it seem a little bit nicer here, but a little smoother maybe, but maybe I'll keep it in now actually. Okay, let's see here. Entire screen. Can you see that?
Oh yeah, with Bounty, my little pony.
Yes. So
Yeah.
what's going on here, Rebecca? I want to say you might be in another country here.
I am in Bulgaria with my sweet little pony that they was my pony for a week I did an 8-day horse trek with one of my mentors, Natalie Bogwalker of Wild Abundance School for Primitive Skills. I will tell you this right now. Bulgaria, absolutely incredible place to visit.
Mm,
Also very affordable to visit.
absolutely. Yeah, I was just hanging out with Bevan Clare, herbalist Bevan Clare. She comes to town every year to Oshkosh actually for a airplane show because her son's really into airplanes. But that's all besides the point. It's really cute. But she's really into travel. She travels all over the world, and she was saying, "Is Bulgaria? Would you consider that Eastern Europe?"
It is Eastern Europe. Yeah, it's like very, yeah, it's influenced by so many different places because the Ottomans had, the ancient Turkish Empire had
Yeah.
conquered them. They've been conquered and attacked by a lot of people, and that cultural memory is still very painful. My guide there
Yes.
was telling us a lot about the history because he's born and raised there. But this was his horse, and he led us, me and 5 other people, on 8 days of mountain riding.
Wow.
It was
Amazing.
amazing. I'm a lifelong horse girl, if you can't tell from my butt length hair, but I don't. I've been told that having really long hair means that you're a horse girl.
Now that you mention it, I've never really thought about that before, that stereotype, but I could see that now, looking
I
back
do
on some other people
unfortunately
I've known.
fulfill all of
Yeah.
us. Yeah.
But yeah, Bevan was saying traveling to Eastern Europe is a great way to go because it's very, very affordable, as you were saying. So a little pro tip from Rebecca there.
Oh,
So were you horseback riding and checking out some plants and stuff?
oh my God. Well, another cool thing, if you are an herbalist in the Eastern, I would say United States, you will know almost every single plant in Bulgaria. There's fields
Wow.
of elder in bloom. Well, I was there in August.
Yeah.
Elderberries everywhere. St. John's wort, absolutely everywhere. Plums, apricots, all types of wild rosaceae of every possible fruiting variety. It is such a rich, you can see why everybody wanted it.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
absolutely insanely fun. I ate so much wild food while I was there, and all the food there is off the chain, local. It's amazing. I loved it.
Ah,
It
I
is
still
a
haven't.
country. I'd move. I would live there. I would move there. It's incredible.
Would you actually? Would you
That's
actually live? Wow,
I
that's
would live in
amazing.
Bulgaria
Yeah.
100%. Yes, I'd be honored to live there. It's an incredible country.
I love that. I love hearing that. And, I've been to probably like 35, 40 states. I've never been out of the country before.
Oh,
And
you've been to way more states than me. That's cool. Yeah.
I've been to a lot. Yeah. And, yeah, I think the first time I go out of the country, besides Canada, perhaps, since it's probably a few hour drive for me, but
Yeah.
I want to go to Eastern Europe just based on everything you just said there and what Bevan was telling me as well. Sounds
It is nice
magical.
too. As a woman too, Bulgaria is very
Mm,
safe. As a solo female traveler, we never got catcalled a single time in the
wow.
entirety of our 12-day stay. It is amazing.
Very cool. Well, I did want to talk to you about
Yeah,
Monarda.
let's do it.
So this is another plant that I don't really see back in Oregon. I'm sure it's
Oh,
grows in people's gardens and stuff, but when the first time I came to Wisconsin, that was back in 2015. Actually, I was like, "Holy shit! What is this magical plant? It's
I
so
know.
beautiful." And now that I live here, I just see it, um, all over the place, ubiquitous. So I was just kind of thinking it'd be fun since you just recently posted about this. What's your infatuation with Monarda?
Well, I forget where or who. I usually am pretty good at remembering my sources of like where I learned something from. I can't remember where I learned this from, but I use the Monarda a lot for colds and flus.
Mm,
Obviously, it's a big thing. And the oxymel, the honey vinegar extract of the flowers is delicious. But the tincture, I get really sore gums a lot. I get bleeding gums often. I was a lifelong like alcoholic and smoker in my
mm,
20s,
yeah.
and I really seriously damaged my gums. And I find that the mouthwash of the Monarda tincture is incredible. And
Mm.
I don't know why, but mouth infections specifically, I'm loving Monarda, and it's nice to see like those thymol rich herbs really come through when you have like a mucosa mouth issue. So it's really been on my mind, and that's kind of what brought it up for me. And it's just, historically used as like a digestive, a nervine, anti-infective, antiseptic herb, and I just can't say enough good things about it. It tastes amazing.
So, over the course of time, has your oral health improved, and do you still use Monarda as, like, say, a mouth tonic for yourself?
Definitely. It's
Yeah,
much better. I also like went to the dentist, that
sure.
helped
Right, right.
after
Shout out
like
to our
you're
dentists.
being too scared. You know what it can happen. It's so normal. You get embarrassed to go because
Yeah,
you're like, they're gonna judge me. Just
yep.
go. They're not gonna judge. If they do, you can fucking leave.
Yeah, you
Uh,
find a new dentist.
Find a new dentist. I go to Aspen Dental. It's like a huge chain and they're
Uh-huh.
all nice, down to earth people. But getting my teeth cleaned and then going back in with the mouthwashes, it's so great. And I do use berberine containing herbs too.
Oh,
Yellow root is really nice for the mouth also. Xanthorrhiza simplissima.
hmm,
Uh, and then of
I know
course
that one.
I brush my teeth after though because it turns your teeth yellow.
Right, good tip there. Yeah.
Yeah, so I do a pre-brush mouthwash, which is a little different with that stuff. But Monarda is great to decoct too and just swish a tea between your teeth, like a strong decoction of it. Um, I can't say enough good things about it,
Okay.
really. Yeah.
So where I'm from, we've got Berberis nervosa or Mahonia nervosa. That's Oregon grape root.
Yeah, we have a lot too. We have the aquafolium of the
Oh,
intensive one.
gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
What'd I say? Yeah. Oh
Nervosa.
yeah, the aquafolio. Yeah, that's right, nervosa. Yeah, so the aquafolium's like the tall growing one. Is
That's what
that
we
is
have.
that? Gotcha. Cool. Nice.
Yeah, I think
Sweet.
that
Well,
was great with Latin names, so don't hold me to it.
no, you're absolutely right. You're spot on. So I have a dentist appointment on Monday, and I'll be doing some Monarda mouthwash beforehand, maybe.
Oh, I'm so proud. Yeah, do a floss and
Yep.
then mouthwash after and really get it in there, especially if you get the bleeding after you brush your teeth.
Mm.
Which for me
Uh,
was really bad.
yeah.
Give it a shot.
Not so much for me, but yeah, when I floss, sometimes it will. But yeah, man, we're getting graphic for the audience here.
Oh, see, for me, I always tell my students, I'm like, we're gonna talk about butts. We're gonna
Yeah.
talk hemorrhoids. We're gonna talk about your gums being gross. Talk about your front
Yeah.
butt and your back butt. Whatever we're gonna talk about. My students are usually pretty grossed out, but they love it. It just invites us to remember we're all dealing with like weird, uncomfortable stuff in a puritanical culture. So it's
Here,
okay.
here.
We all got issues with our gums and our butts.
I might be misremembering, but you probably know the herbalist Jen Stovall.
Of course, I actually
Yeah.
she just stayed at my place recently.
Oh, nice. Please tell her
I
Mason says
love
hello.
Jen.
It's been many a year,
She's an
but I
angel.
want to say it was her class at the Good Medicine Confluence years ago. I want to say she taught a
Oh,
whole class about poop, and she's like, "You, it's
that's fun.
exactly this conversation. We all poop, and it's good to talk about and good to look at, good to study. Yeah, I want to say maybe there's even pictures of feces, so you could kind of like monitor like how's people's digestion and all that. But
Oh man,
yeah,
I wish I knew that much about it, but I am more just like, yeah, just sit in some tea, my babe.
yeah. It could have been someone else, but I'm pretty sure it was Jen's class. But
That tracks. When we first met, I was like, I love you. You're amazing. Like instantly just adored her.
she's incredible. I went to New Orleans maybe 7 years ago, and I went and hung out with them, and she took me out on the one of the rivers in a canoe with her pal, and it was super fun. We saw a lot of gators, and
Oh
uh,
my gosh.
yeah, it was super cool.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, she's in Georgia now, but she comes up through here. She's good friends with my one of my landmates, so that's been really fun.
nice, awesome. Well, why don't we kind of do a little fun round of questions here as we wrap up?
Please.
I definitely want to plug and promote your book. Well, you've got a couple. Do you want to tell us a little bit about Mountain Magic and where folks could buy it?
Totally. I don't sell my own books, so don't worry about buying it from me. I have
Okay.
a book out. I have one book out called Wild Witchcraft, Foraging and Gardening for Remedies. I actually probably am saying the title of my own book wrong. Um, it has a long
Happens.
secondary title,
Right.
unfortunately. And then Mountain Magic is just about Appalachian folk magic and medicine. To be clear, the first book is for everywhere. A lot of people write me reviews on Amazon that are like, this book isn't about Appalachia. And I'm like, I know, it's not supposed to be. I have a separate one just about Appalachian folk magic. And a little bit about plants, but it's largely focused on folk magic. And I have a third book coming out in 2025,
Nice.
which I can't tell you the name of yet, but I will let you know as soon as I can, and it will be
Can you
available.
tell us the thesis or anything, or is that still too early?
I think so. It's I'll just say it's going to be focused away from magic and purely as if you could look in my notebook, that's what the
Mm,
yeah.
that's awesome. Very
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's super exciting. Maybe we'll be able to drop the title on our
Send you one.
next interview. Absolutely. So, any events or classes that you'd like to talk about that's coming up as well, in
Well,
person or virtual or anything?
yeah, I would if you're up north, I'd love to see you. If you're in a witchy boy, girl, lady, or lady, I'd love to see you at the Witchcraft Summer Agora
Mm,
in Salem, and there's still tickets available, I'm pretty sure. Which I can get you a link to. And I'll be giving a tree walk there too, so you can come on a plant walk with me if you want to. And we are sold out on our classes for the year. I just teach one program these days called Hedgecraft, but I have a wait list, and if you'd like to join it, you will get first access to signing up for the class, which we never go outside the wait list, if that makes sense. Like
mm.
the wait list fills the whole class each year. So please jump on it if you'd like to um, get into our class for 2025 that me and my partner Daniel Gingras co-host. And
Nice. Is he an
he
herbalist too?
he is an herbalist, and he's
Nice.
he's actually apprenticing with me, which is
That's-
and also very fun. And he's a massage therapist,
oh,
and
cool. Yeah,
he's been studying plants for and on his own before we connected. So we've been having a great time co-creating a lot of things together.
that's beautiful.
Yeah, it's incredibly fun because he's my favorite person. So it works.
That's helpful.
Yeah, right. And then I'll be doing some lectures and classes. I might do some pop-up classes in Asheville at the new magic supply store called Calamus and Honey, which will be opening in the next 2 months. So look at my website for any classes. They're always on there.
I was just chewing a tiny amount of calamus right before we jumped on the call.
Getting that focus, getting lasered in, right? I learned
I
that from
from Jim.
Yeah,
Yeah, totally.
love
Yeah,
Cal.
and KP Kalsa as well. I've heard him talk a little bit about that as well. So, yeah, Jim's all about the calamus root.
I looked at it with him in Boston. It was so fun. We got to see one
Oh,
together.
was that at the International Herb Symposium?
Yeah,
Oh, nice.
yeah,
Did you teach there too?
I did. Yeah.
Oh, wow, you're all over the place. That's awesome.
I know. I was like, why am I here? I am the youngest teacher in this place. And sometimes it's hard to feel like I'm not a clinical herbalist either. So I'm always like, oh gosh, why am I
But
here?
you bring such a different perspective to the plants, which that's what makes the herbal world go around, you know? We all
Yeah,
play our roles, so I love that.
history nerd. That's what I'm here for.
I gotta know, do you have any random hobbies outside of herbalism, plants, etc.?
My love, I have something wrong with me. I don't know what we could diagnose it as a lot of different things. But yeah, I'm a musician. I play music. I
Cool.
am a painter. I'm like, what are my hobbies? I love to make jewelry and make
Hmm.
things. I also make baskets. I take basket weaving classes and teach them. I spoon carve. I'm a big wood carver. I
That's
also do
cool.
wood carving. Anything that falls into the category of like folk craft from Appalachia, I like to do. So I do ballad singing, spoon carving, basket making. Um, yeah, I get hunting. I love to hunt. I
No
also
way.
play firearms. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Um, get you a girl that can do both. I also love fake nails,
What
Got
was
it.
that last one?
I said I love to wear fake nails too, because
Okay. Don't get it twisted.
I know it. I know. I love to go to dance parties and dance and wild out. Like I like it all. I like it all. I love life. I feel really grateful to be alive and
You
to
live
get
a beautiful life, Rebecca. I'm
really
super
do.
happy for you. That's so cool.
So do you. It's so inspiring to hear other
Oh, thank
experiences.
you. Thank you. Yeah. No, it's been a fun journey. Um when I was younger, yeah, as I was mentioning, I've always struggled with depression and sadness, and
Mhm.
I was like, I can't wait to be older so I could give less fucks. And now that I'm almost 40, I feel like I give less fucks these days. So in a good way, you know,
Oh, so
not
true.
like
I love it.
not apathy or whatever, but I have a gratitude practice where I say what I'm grateful for every single day. I do a lot of prayer
Mhm.
and that kind of thing. And yeah, I feel incredibly fortunate to live the life that I do at this point.
And it's okay if some days you still feel sad. And
That's
that's okay.
true.
Yeah. Just about
Just
it.
please less and less over time. That'd be ideal.
Same. I'm the opposite end. I'm an anxious kid. I'm almost never depressed, always anxious. And it's tough. The older I've gotten though, the less my symptoms manifest of cyclical thoughts and things like that. And so grateful it does shift. So for anybody out there, if you're on the spectrum with us here, it does get better. With
Amen.
me making choices to like not get super drunk all the time helped a lot, I would say.
Yeah. What is that, a depressant?
It is, yeah. Meditating for the win.
This has been so much fun, Rebecca.
Oh my
I really
God.
appreciate you for joining me on the show, and I know the audience is going to get a lot out of this. I've got more questions for you, but that'll
Another
have to
time.
wait until February, or I can't remember when we're doing the
Yeah.
interview, but it's coming. It's coming up at some point in the future. I'm really excited to get to know you and your background more, and just
Thank
really
you.
appreciate you joining me on the show.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. You're such a gem. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you. Alrighty, well, we will talk soon. Shout out and thanks to y'all for tuning in. Big thanks to Amanda for editing, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.
Bye.